and happy Halloween. It's Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. This is an interview series, if you can believe it. Some of you have been following us, and thank you for that, for almost 7 years now. Hundreds of shows, amazing guests from all over the world. We interview industry experts that can help you improve your personal life or help you grow your business. And today is no different. I will not disappoint. I have an amazing, beautiful guest. Our guest today is Erin Duffy. She is a career transformation and stage presence coach because, you know, we have to up our presence, especially when we're on stage. She works with business professionals and leaders who are struggling to feel fulfilled and confident when they step into their personal power. You really want to be that powerhouse. She's going to take you there. She's going to also help you catapult yourself in your career. She's going to help you clarify your unique personal story so that when you get on that stage, it is going to be kapow and wow. So welcome everyone, Erin Duffy.
Thank you, Jessica. I like the word kapow. That's fantastic.
Kapow and wow, that's right. We just like Batman and those old those cartoons where they have the pow, bang, wow. We need a little of that in our life, you know. I'll have to have the team put that up on when they edit.
I like that.
Pow, bam, wow, with the little, charred edges all around, you know, in the emoji format.
You know, that actually would be perfect for today since it's Halloween. I think you and I should have thought about this. We should have dressed up. What were we thinking?
Well, this is me dressed up as the business professional that I'm acting to be. I think it's the true thing, but it's always a little bit of the makeup and the charade too. Like we are who we are, but we put on different character roles. Like I am, you know, with my husband, the beautiful "you still love me" sultry wife. Like, and with my kid, I'm the very logical, this is the plan as your mother. You should trust me when I'm not wearing the mom hat. And you know, as the business professional, I spruce up a little lip gloss and fancy necklace for the Zoom meetings with my yoga pants, right? We all have these costumes we wear in all of the characters that we play in the role, which is our life, right?
It's true. It's true. You're actually right. And in all of them, it's you. It's who you are. You know, it's who we are in our lives and showing up. And I have a feeling you show up fully in every single one of those. Just knowing you.
I've just come to terms with, and I still won't, even if you talk to my family, completely admit that maybe perhaps I might snore a little when I sneeze, like a princess snore, like, you know, a very soft, lovely, beautiful. That's not at all what they tell me, but my husband recently said that he thinks I have at least five different snores. And I said, well, that goes well with the at least at minimum 5 different personalities.
Exactly. You got to have 5 different snores.
He always says, I never need to stray because I have all the women in the world right here in one room with me that I'll ever need.
I have to meet him one of these days, I swear.
We do. We have so much fun. He is a Monty Python fan. He has a very dry sense of humor. He loves Star Trek. And
I'm liking him even more.
He's brilliant and awesome and humble and gorgeous and taken, ladies, just by the way.
Taken.
So Erin, you are getting ready to help transform people so that they can have confidence and be on stage and also really up level their career. So, you know, you're on stage whether you're on stage or not, right? So if you're standing at the front of that boardroom, giving that presentation to your team, you know, reviewing the next project in the company, leading a project in your company, you know, you've got the floor, you're being listened to, people are following you as a leader, you're on stage all the time. So talk to us how you came to be in this space.
Well, Jessica, Great question. So, how I came to this is, am a singer actor. I've been a singer actor since I was 3 years old. But professionally, started doing that in my 20s. Also, at the same time, I was in the business world. I worked at a creative agency in the Silicon Valley, serving some of the biggest tech companies that are out there for multiple years. So I sort of had this dual career for about 25 plus years. Really had
Mhm.
a ball doing it. I was climbing up the ladder in corporate at the same time, on stages, doing tons of roles, singing in lots of shows. I was also creating sort of this jazz cabaret side, doing a lot of gigs in clubs and in venues, and having an absolute ball, loving it. And it was kind of the best of both worlds, to be honest with you, because I love the business world, but I'm a performer, I'm a singer, I'm an actor. I got to be on stage. I love it. I love, to bring a story to stage, whether I'm a character in a play or like as a cabaret singer, taking a song that everybody's heard before, or, anything that you could
Mhm.
choose, looking at the lyrics and telling the story of that song from my point of view. And it was
Mhm.
really through that practice, Jessica, that as I was climbing up in my career, I would tell you around the 2015 timeframe, I was getting to the point where sort of both my careers were, not as exciting anymore. They weren't as fulfilling. And I kind of said to myself, I really wish I could merge these two careers together. I don't know what that means, but hey, what is that? And around 2017, I had made the decision to say, I think now's the time. Now's the time for me to
Mhm.
leave this great job and sort of pursue what next, with the idea of merging these two together. And what ended up happening is that it wasn't really something I could find at another company. I realized, oh, Erin, you need to create it for yourself. And
Mhm.
how that started as I was working with a business coach, and she was fantastic. She worked with women who were in corporate, who wanted to go and maybe start their own company or do something that was very different from the corporate world that they worked in. So I was kind of
And
with
back
her.
then, that was rare. That she was a pioneer in that space, because now I
Absolutely.
can tell you at least 5 people I know who do that, who help people find their passion, find their life, make that transition from corporate to other. This didn't
Yes.
exist before. This was so the
No.
world has had a movement has happened for
I
sure.
have the transformation I've seen in the last 6 years has been incredible.
Mhm.
You're correct. She fell into my lap because of my executive coach I worked with in the agency, introduced me to her. And it was through
Mhm.
my work with her that suddenly I was just kind of doing this deep dive into, like, well, what would I want to do? What would be, if I was to do something, what would it be? And by doing that, I came up with this idea. What was I most passionate about? And I said out loud, well, if I could help business professionals find and own their unique voice, they will have no competition. And
Mhm.
from that moment, she and the people that were in this mastermind with me said, well, there's an idea for a business. I'm like, there is, I mean, because again, Jessica, this was like 2018. And I'm like, it
Uh-huh.
is. And it was from that moment that I started to grow this business, started to like develop what would it look like. And it first started out with my career transformation program, which I started based on my own practice called Own Your Story, Change Your Life. And it's all about tapping back into those things that uniquely make us who we are. What excites us? What do we value? What are those parts of us that we may have forgotten about or maybe checked out the door as we climbed up that ladder? And you hit this point in your mid career where you start to realize there has to be more than this. Is this as good as it gets? Why am I bored? And it's like a lot of times people will go on the outside looking for the answer. They might go get another job. But what ends up happening is a year later, they come back to that same place and going, why am I not excited? Why am I not inspired? I feel like I need to do more. And it's because you need to tap back in to that
Mhm.
true essence of who you are and rediscover it. And it is really through your story. And it's amazing, Jessica, the transformation that happens by us tapping back into our own essence, our own voice. and making the decisions of what is important to us now and what difference we want to make in our career. And so I sort of launched that program, and it was so much fun. And I've watched the transformation of so many career professionals go from, I'm so bored and I really don't know what to do next, to being so incredibly inspired by what they're doing now. And it was through that I started to like grow my company. But in the background, there were people that kept asking me, and they were TED speakers. Would you help me, Erin? This was something totally one off. Could you help me bring my TED Talk to stage? I don't know how to feel comfortable on stage. I don't know how to connect with an audience. Can you help me do that? I'm like, well, absolutely. Because I've been doing that as a cabaret singer and as a singer actor and a producer. I'd always been helping people bring their unique self to stage from a performing standpoint. So I said, absolutely. So I did that for a couple of times. And then COVID happened. And suddenly all of us were thrust home. We were all put on camera, and I had business leaders and business professionals and rising leaders and entrepreneurs going, gosh darn it, I really wish we could go back to when we were in the office. I hate being on camera. And I'm like, guys, wake up. I hate to tell you, but that's over. We're never going back. The cameras are never going away. You need to get excited about it. You need to bring your presence to camera. So I started teaching that during COVID 2020 and 2021. And then that started to grow this whole other side of my business, which is that stage presence piece you and I were talking about earlier, which, by the way, uses the same methodology as my career program, really tapping into the true essence of who you are, finding out what really lights you up, and getting comfortable and confident with who you are, your presence, and being able to bring it into that room. Because like you just said earlier, and I say this to all my clients, remember, when I talk about stage presence, that's about every single time you walk into a room. It's not when you get on stage. It's not only that. It's every time you walk into a room. Are you bringing yourself fully? Are you comfortable and confident about that? And as business leaders and rising leaders and entrepreneurs, it's imperative that you're bringing yourself to that room. But the problem is we find professionals that are, yeah, but Erin, when I get up on this stage, I don't feel like myself, or I need to be better like that guy or that gal. They're so much better than I am. And it's no. If you show up 100% yourself on stage, you have no competition. In order to figure that out, you have to do what I call the inner game, which is really find and own that true essence of yourself and get the confidence to walk out on that stage. And I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It's amazing to watch that transformation in business professionals, leaders, entrepreneurs, when they really just are so comfortable in who they are, because you make the difference in the room. I mean, suddenly when you're there, it's amazing what you'll do in the room. You're pulling your audience into you. They want to know you because there's no longer this wall. You've torn down this wall and you're bringing yourself to them. And it is a game changer. And it has been so much fun because, again, 5 years, 6 years ago, I said, can I merge my two careers together? And when I realized, Jessica's, I had to do that myself. And now looking at it 5, 6 years later, that's exactly what I did, and it's been such a blast. Yeah.
Well, and part of that is speaking that out into the universe, right? The way you said it, and then suddenly all of the resources you need, including people and knowledge, began to show up. That mastermind, that space for you, the right career. And then the other fascinating thing I hear you talking about is the power of our story, right? The interesting thing people, I think, don't realize is they look at what their story is almost like their history, what their story is, not as taking the pen as the author of their story and writing what their story, what they desire their story to be. I know early on, when I was speaking for a company I worked for and learning to do that, I would go in, or even when I was going in to make a presentation from a sales perspective to a larger group, I would decide in my mind in the car, literally I did this, how the audience was going to feel about my presentation. Like I would say things like they were going to find it fascinating, or I was going to share with them information they hadn't heard before, or facts, or just really specific things. And I found almost, I want to say 97.3% true. At the end of my presentations, I would have someone come up at the end to me and say specifically one of my intentions to me, like, oh, I hadn't known that before. That was something new. Thank you for sharing that. Like, they would come to me and say back to me one of the things I had set as an intention before going out there. So we have so much more power than we realize. And when we share our story, and when you're on that stage, which is life, as we've discussed, one of the other fascinating things I'm learning, I'm in a great book club, is not just being the author, but also discovering the stories that we tell ourselves that have no value, that aren't true, and rewriting those stories that might be even ingrained as your parents or your grandparents or beyond their story, or even society story, as you and I were talking. Maybe it's the story society or our culture or our Irish background or our Italian or Hispanic or whatever background tells us is their story historically. Then sometimes we imprint it on ourselves to be true, and it can, in a lot of ways, in some ways, can stand in our way. And so we have to identify those and then rewrite the story again, taking that pen and ownership and being the author and making bold statements out loud when we don't know. Erin had no idea what the path to that would be, what the solution to that statement would be, or what would the outcome, or even would it be financially profitable, right? This daydream. But you made statements and took control of that pen and began to design your story, even though you didn't know the ending, right? So I think that's a cool thing that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said so many wonderful things about story. And I love that you see the power of it. And what always amazes me is when we tap back into those stories that we may have forgotten, or stories that we think are not important, but you start to look at them and you see these sort of golden threads that align with who you are, and align with your values, and align with why you are who you are, and show it. Suddenly you see these strengths in you've forgotten about, and you can use your story to support them. And it's interesting because I will have clients who say, okay, I'm doing this story piece. This is hard work. It's like, just go do it. And I always say, the first story that comes to mind is one to tell. Don't overthink, just tell the story. And for them to do the deep dive, and then for us to do the discussion, the ahas that they have, it's almost like they become taller and more full, because they realize, this is who I am, and this is why I do what I do, and this is why I need to do what I'm doing next, kind of thing. Like, it supports their narrative, and it's empowering, because it is you. And then, like I say, none of us are the same. We all have our own unique stories. We are here for a reason. And when we own that about ourselves and feel proud of who we are and use it as our strength, it's amazing the transformation you not only do for yourself, but what you can do for others around you, because they look at you as like, God, what are they doing differently? Why are they so confident? Why are they so present? And people want that. And so you're also not only transforming yourself, but you're also helping others to see the world differently. And that's very powerful. And especially as leaders, I think it's really important. As I really do focus a lot, especially in the stage presence, on the idea of rising leaders. So the people that are the leaders of tomorrow, they may be in a corporation right now at sort of that director level, and that they're on the track for the C-suite someday. And this is the time that you want them to really gain that confidence about who they are and be able to bring that authentic self to the room, to inspire their team, to inspire their leadership. we want to build that confidence. So by the time they're getting up that ladder, they know their voice. They own their voice. They're not holding themselves back, and they make better leaders. And then the people who work for them are inspired by them. And it's just one of those things that it's not hard to do, but it's something that we kind of forget is important. Like we just expect people to have presence. Well, you've risen up the ladder. Of course you have presence.
Right. And so that being really truly authentic to ourselves and truly bringing our personality into what we do, and being, more real and down to earth is valuable. And also spending that time on those stories we talked about, as far as being the author of your own story and rewriting the ones that are not serving you. The other piece to that I've recently been researching more intensely, I've gathered things, nuggets and breadcrumbs along the way in my career, but as a sales professional, but really I've been immersing myself in the art of infusing storytelling, not just for the purpose of sales, but also for the purpose of motivating your team or inspiring a story that will help them understand the need the company has for XYZ to be achieved, right? To motivate. And I listened to two really fantastic audiobooks on it. One is by the guy, and I don't remember both names. I'll have to try to pull them up before we get off this call. If I can, while you're talking, I might take a peek. But there's a guy that wrote a book called Talk Like Ted. And then he wrote another book, and I think that other book was called Storyteller's Secrets. And then there's another lady who wrote a fantastic book. Oh, and that one was called Stories That Stick. And both of those had very unique pieces of information on making sure that, even if it's for the purpose of a business presentation or at a corporate meeting, or, whatever the need for inspiration is, and including sales, by the way, it's
absolutely
empowering to incorporate a story that people can, something that they could relate to. So try to find things. So I'm actually going to be re-listening to these audiobooks and pulling together myself a notebook of stories from my life and my children's lives and things like that I can identify. And then kind of what was the moral of that story? What was the, so that I can find places to interject them into my trainings and my talk and my education and in my sales presentation, because this is a learned skill. It's not that just some people are charismatic and people hang on their every word and they want to do and they're motivated to do. It's because they've made a relatable situation that infused an emotion that they could meet with, that then allowed them to listen and pay attention while you were speaking and not fog out, and then move to action to the next step, which is the power of what you want to do. Sales is simply the power of moving someone to take action, to complete an application, to send you money, to sign the contract, to whatever it is you're doing, you're communicating this action taking that you want to take place. And there's nothing more powerful than a story to make that happen.
Absolutely, Jesse. You are like speaking my language. Absolutely. I love everything you're saying. That's exactly what I teach my clients. One thing that I tell every single business professional, any entrepreneur out there, any leader out there, is start to create your arsenal of stories. And it's like, you might be on a dog walk, you might be like making dinner, you might be in the middle of something and a story comes to your head, put it in an arsenal. When I say just create a spreadsheet, put that story about X, and you may not fill it out yet, take some time to fill it out eventually. Because here's the thing, you said exactly, you're so spot on. In any presentation, and it doesn't matter if you're in sales, you're in IT, you're in marketing, you're in nonprofit, it doesn't matter what you're in, story is going to help you make every single point you're trying to make. If you are a salesperson and you have a ton of data and you have all these numbers, right? You're not going to remember. I mean, how many presentations have you and I been in our professional career, right?
I feel the pain.
You feel it, right? You're like, whatever. But let's say that same presenter uses a story to describe those numbers, everybody in that room will remember those numbers because you have pulled them in, you've made them interested. Now those numbers make more sense to them. Story is the most powerful way for you to connect to your audience and also help them to understand the material you're trying to present. So I love this because I have these 5 steps, my 5 steps of telling great stories. And it literally is all about how to do that. Like how to, the arsenal is like one of, I think it's like point number 2, but, and it's such a powerful tool because it will make you a more effective leader and a better communicator and also a more endearing leader.
Yes, relatable, more relatable.
Want to relate to you.
Yes.
And here's the thing that happens when you get up on that stage and you're telling that story, you're already pulling them in. That no joke, you will have people in that audience that afterwards want to come up and meet you.
Yes.
They might say, oh my God,
like
thank you so much.
Yeah.
They want to know you. And that is what story does. And it's a practice. And it's a practice, but it's a practice that I am encouraging every business leader, every entrepreneur out there, and seriously, every rising leader, start to incorporate that into your practice now. It will make you a more effective leader. And it's such a powerful practice, and it's fun. That's the best part about it.
So storytelling, the art of storytelling and the practice of storytelling should be a mandatory course in school because it actually makes you a better human. You're a better friend. You're more entertaining when you tell stories. You know how to tell a story with a point and a beginning and an end. Dear God, does this story have an end? You're more entertaining at parties. You're a better parent because you can share the stories with your children in order to educate and teach. You're a better educator. You're just a better human and a more successful one to boot if you can learn the craft and the art of telling a good story. And it is completely a learnable skill. So you just have to be willing.
Yes. Yeah. Because everybody, and this is, I see this with a lot of my clients that, well, I'll never be able to be as this guy's such an effective speaker. I love watching. I'll never be like him. I said, well, first of all, I don't want you to be him because I want you to be you. But some people are born with it. Some people are born having that charisma and being able to get on stage and pull an audience in. I would tell you probably 80% of people don't have it. Most people have to practice it.
I mean, maybe there's a born with you, but I have to tell you, that same person, I would say, what is it about that person that you love so much? Maybe it's the tone of the voice. Maybe it's when they choose to emphasize the vowels. Maybe it's the pause. Maybe it's their energy. Maybe their energy is super high and they love that. Or maybe it's super chill and they take them on a journey and that monotone sound pulls them into a place where they can imagine and see it in their mind's eye and it's more colorful for them. So they have to just think about what is it about that person, because all of those are learnable things. You can learn the right times to pause, you can learn where to put emphasis, you can learn how to use the correct adjectives and paint a picture and infuse words with high intensity emotion, and all of those things can be learned. So I don't know, charismatic, I maybe,
well,
but
some people are born with that. They're born with the charisma, but let me tell you, all your favorite people out there that you guys see, they practice.
Oh yes,
they don't just walk up on that stage. And by the way, that's my practice. Like my whole thing is to get you to the point that when you walk up on that stage, everybody thinks you're doing it off the cuff, but you and I both know you're not, because you're practiced, you've paid attention, you've taken the time, you've honed your stories, you've honed your material, and you're ready to get up on that stage. And a lot of that, Jessica, comes from what we were talking about earlier, that inner game work. Really learning who you are, understanding why you show up the way you are, the things that really just make you excited and juicy and stand out amongst everybody out there, because there's a lot of people out there just like you. My goal is to make you come be at the tippy top. Like you're going to stand out there, everybody going to take notice. And how do you do that? You do that by owning who you are uniquely and embracing that and building that confidence and comfort. And then you walk out on that stage. And see, in most cases, you will see people will work with somebody. Can you help me get on this stage? Absolutely. I'll tell you where to stand, we'll practice a couple times on that stage. And then that's great. They do fine, and they're like, phew, it's over. But it's like, no. We want this to not to be a transactional thing. We want this to be something that's long and enduring and something that's natural for you. And in order to do that, you got to step back and really go, who am I? And why am I unique? And what do I bring to the stage that nobody else does, and really own that? So when you do walk on that stage, it's forever. It's not just one off. And that's the power of that practice and doing that inner game work. And truly is. And
I heard or read somewhere that the TED Talks that received the most views, the longest standing ovations, all the stats for the greatest of all time TED Talks.
Yeah.
That the minimum of practice each one of those speakers did was like over 1,000 times they did their talk.
Absolutely.
And so that goes to show, if you want to be in the Olympics, then you need to behave like an Olympian, right?
I love that. Great analogy. Absolutely. Yeah. Love
and
that.
That's the Olympics of speaking, right? The TED Talks, the million views, the longest standing ovation. That's the Olympics of the TED Talk world.
Exactly.
And in order to do that, you do it and you do it and you do it and you do it till you could do it in your sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah, where it sounds like it's off the cuff. And that's and I used to do that as a cabaret singer, and as I was teaching cabaret was this way, because, cabaret is story and then song. And it's that story before, which they call patter, having it so tight. I mean, every word is memorized, but and the story is so well crafted, and it takes time to get there. But when you do that and then you deliver it, and the audience thinks that you literally are walking up there doing it off the cuff. And that is so cool. That's the best feeling. And everybody can do that. Everybody can do that. If that's what you want when you're presenting in front of an audience. Because here's the thing, we're now at a point, I mean, think about it. We see there's so much out there to look at. We got YouTube, social media, everything. People don't even have the time anymore to watch somebody, right? So remember that people lose interest very quickly now. And if you don't get them in that first 20 seconds, and I'm not kidding you about that, but if you don't, and you're not fully present, you're going to lose your audience. You will lose. And we've all been there. I mean, you and I mean, my corporate days, I can't tell you how many times I was sitting in a big old conference room, with like 100 people in the audience, and the person would get up there and it was zero connection. Yeah, I wrote some of the
trying your best to keep your head from doing the nod, the embarrassing head nod.
Yes. And these were leaders in companies. This wasn't like, these were like VPs and CEOs, and you're like, oh my God, could he have any more?
Well, I've gone way off the railroad tracks and gotten carried away with you. We have really shared a lot, but I think so many valuable tips have come to play here. But quickly, for the benefit of people watching, to work with you, is it one-on-one? Is it workshops? Is it online courses? Is it a little of all of those things? What's their customer experience like working with you?
So with me, for the stage presence program, I have a one-on-one program. And then I also have a group program for groups.
Great.
Yeah, which is fun. And one-on-one is, I mean, I love both, to be honest with you. I so enjoy the one-on-one because we get a lot done in a very short period of time. But the group programs are just a joy because
a benefit of that group. Yeah,
exactly. They learn from each other, and it's so much. And what's fun is to watch these up and coming leaders in companies, watching them taking this, like doing this program and just watching them blossom, but also together. They're supporting one another and they're blossoming together. And you're just like, wow. I mean,
and sharing their wins and their experiences.
Absolutely.
And so is there, I know we've given a lot of tips, but maybe if there's one specific tip and then anything else about you or the business you want to share before we move on to our next segment.
Let me think, from a tip standpoint, from a stage presence standpoint, I if you're thinking about that right now and I really I want to be on stage, right? And I know I'm supposed to be on stage. And again, guys, remember, stage is every room you walk into, but I never
Mhm.
feel like myself. I don't feel like myself. How can I find my own voice? I really want you to start with one very simple exercise. And I know it's going to sound really funny and weird, but you'd be amazed what you're going to discover. I really want you to take a step back and think about, what are the 5 things that light you up, that make you
Mhm.
excited, that make you get out of bed in the morning. And again, these do not have to be about work. This is about you as an individual, as a person. And I want you to write what they are, write a story about how it's shown up. And then I want to know why. And I honestly, you will find so much information there about yourself, and you will also start to own a part of yourself that you may not be owning right now. And when you look at that 5, just so you know, nobody else out there has that 5. So already you're stepping into your uniqueness. So try that. Let me know, report back.
That's really cool. Do you have any big events coming up, workshops, webinars, anything like that that we didn't?
No, I have one coming up here in Minneapolis. It's actually been in-person one. I'm so
Wow.
excited. And it's going to be a workshop working with rising leaders in Minneapolis who are ready to step into their presence.
Oh,
So I am doing that with a colleague here in Minneapolis, Courtney Burton, and we're so excited because it's going to be an
great.
in-person, very small event, and I'll be sharing out more about that coming up in November. But I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So we also always cover a cause that's close to our guest's heart, and we're going to take a wild stab at what's the cause that's close to Erin's heart.
So, okay, the arts, they are
Yeah.
truly in my end theater. So I'm a
Yes.
huge supporter of theater. Obviously, I've spent my life in the theater, but my company, as well as me personally, every year donate to multiple theaters here in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. We're one of the biggest theater towns in the country. And especially after COVID, I'm
Yeah.
trying to get audiences back into the theater. So, hey guys, wherever you are,
Yeah.
go see some live theater. Go see support live theater. Support
Love
it.
that.
So
I
great.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And you already know I am a giant bookworm. If you've been following us at all, you know we're creating the ultimate book list with all of our guests that come. We gather all these great titles so that we can continue to up-level ourselves. And you have a book for us, don't you, Erin?
I do. I have so many books. I love this. I mean, I could talk about so many, but the one that first came to mind when you said it, it came out a few years ago, and it's called, I hope you can see that, called Late Bloomers. I don't know if
Oh,
anybody's read this book. It's by Rich Karlsgaard, and it's such a beautiful book. If you are that mid-career professional right now who's like, I feel like I just haven't totally shown up fully, and I feel like I missed out. This is such an incredible book about, what? Late bloomers. Those are the people that are making huge, huge strides in our economy, in our world right now. And this is the book that will tell you it's never too late,
I mean,
honestly. So,
there's someone brilliant in our group, Erin, and she's I want to say she's seasoned and wise. But I just can't believe what people are doing and achieving now in their 70s and 80s.
in
They're
80s.
getting their doctorate for the first time at that. They're
I know.
I mean, crazy stuff. Like they're starting they
Yeah,
behaving as if their life were just starting. And I love that. I think we should just treat every day and every year and whatever age as if we
I
have,
agree.
another 100 years in front of us because
I
who's the
so agree with you. I'm with you. They inspire me in our group. They
Mhm.
inspire me. Like every day, I'm like, you're right. It's not over till it's over. And you can create all the time. And to see them in 70s and 80s creating, and we're talking very
I mean,
successful businesses.
yeah, and
Yeah,
high tech
inspiring.
and high technology and doing podcasts
Amazing.
and interviews and the whole 9 yards. And
Yeah,
the knowledge that they bring to the table is second to none, you know.
yeah,
So it's just
absolutely.
it's fantastic. So I love that you brought that book to us. Well, I want to tell the audience, I'm so glad for you who stuck in with us, as Erin and I just got so carried away. And I just love what you do so much. And as you can tell, I mean, I personally research and learn, and I just am so in line with the work that you're doing that I couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, I
So
loved it.
thank
This is
you for
great.
watching with us. And really, thank you for sharing. You just don't know whose life you will change just by hitting that simple share button. Someone else out there really needed to hear what Erin had to share, or is going to grab one of the books we mentioned throughout this segment, and it is going to make a huge impact on their life. So yay you for being a great human and hitting the share button. We love you for watching and following us and putting it out in the world. Now, if you're watching and you have a gift and a skill, which I bet you do, that can help someone's personal life, or you can help grow someone's business and expand their dreams and serve more people in this beautiful planet, then you should call us, because we'd love to have you on the show. But I'm always going to remind you to don't be selfish, be someone's hero. I bet if you are an industry expert and you can help someone's personal life or business grow, I bet you know someone else who can too in some other way. So introduce them to us. We'll have them on the show and you on the show. And now we have multiple wins. And we've talked about even more causes this way. Just want to find a way to add more ripples to the stream. So as always, Erin, we are not going to let you off the hook or let you leave until you share with us one final piece of information or inspiration before we go. What do you have for us? What's our treat for this trick or treat of
Yeah,
Halloween?
your treat. What I said earlier, which inspired my business, and I want everybody to remember this: when you show up 100% authentic, you have no competition. Remember that.
Okay. I love that. And that goes well with how I close the show always, which is remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.